Dirk Hordorff has launched a new attack on the International Tennis Federation and their management. The vice president for high performance at the German Tennis Federation, DTB, has announced that his federation will vote to change the newly implemented ITF Transition Tour. Dirk Hordorff has become the latest figure to voice his opposition against the controversial revamp. The International Tennis Federation has made changes to the lower-level tournaments in a bid to help more players achieve a better income on the tour. Under the new system, tournaments will be staged within a more localized circuit to make costs lower for both players and tournaments. On top of that, ITF ranking points have been brought in instead of ATP and WTA points for the lower-level events. In wake of the changes, many players have voiced anger, with some saying that they have been left worse off. Croatian player Ana Vrljic is one of the critics. In a lengthy Facebook, she wrote that it is now harder for players to break out onto the main tour. Players could see a clear path for them if they play good for a year. If they are consistent, eventually they would get there. With these new rules, players lost that vision. They lost seeing it clearly how to get to the top, cause it seems almost impossible, Vrljic wrote. It now seems that the dissatisfaction with the new circuit is prompting a backlash from some national federations. Hordorff, who is also a fierce critic of the Davis Cup revamp, has sent out a message to urge players to ask their own national tennis bodies to vote against the current transition tour. So many active and former players asked for help regarding this changes on the tour. It's a shame that all are suffering on these changes. I haven't found anybody supporting this, he wrote on Facebook. My advice to all players, go to your national federation and ask them to officially announce their support for the change of this reform. I will do my best to support this initiative from the German Tennis Federation as vice president for high-performance tennis. The DTB was not in favor of this reform and we will vote to change this. Under the new system, WTA points are awarded to women playing in events that have $25,000 in prize money or more. In men's tennis, $25,000 ITF Pro Circuit events will offer both ATP ranking points, later rounds, and ITF entry points, all rounds, while the qualifying rounds of ATP Challenger tournaments will also offer both ATP ranking points, all events, and ITF entry points, events up to $125,000 in prize money. Under the new system, players can use their ITF ranking to enter into professional tournaments. If in a really good week there was 4 CHs and 2 $25,000 events, 37 players could use their ITF ranking to secure spots. As it stands, not one of those eligible is a junior. That means in theory you can have guys in their 30s pushing out a 20-year-old with a better ATP ranking. Pic.twitter.com/4uj3izitst, Paul Timmons, @Paul_tennis, February 3, 2019. Concerning the men's tour, Hordorff has claimed that the ATP had previously pledged to hand out ranking points to all of the tournaments. However, it is alleged that the ITF didn't agree to a condition to not sell their data to betting companies. This conversation came up in the wake of a report into tennis corruption by the IRP. The report recommended that all tournaments shouldn't have a sponsorship agreement with a betting company. There has been no comment from the ITF regarding the possibility of changing the transition tour or the claim that they declined the ATP's offer regarding ranking points. The world number 4 speaks out about a variety of topics, including his upcoming return to the sport. Juan Martín del Potro, photo by Crislin Cayo, copyright at Sport Vision. After having a successful 2018 season ended by injury, Juan Martín del Potro is hoping to once again stage a strong comeback to men's tennis later this month. The world number 4 hasn't played a competitive match since the Shanghai Masters back in October. It was at the tournament where he fractured his right patella bone, commonly known as the kneecap. The injury forced him to withdraw from last year's ATP Finals after qualifying for the event for the first time since 2013, as well as the Australian Open. Del Potro is targeting a return to the tour at the Delray Beach Open, which he last won back in 2011. Leading up to his latest comeback, the Argentine conducted an open practice session in his home city of Tandil on Saturday. The day drew big crowds to the session, with members of the public bringing food to donate to a local food bank. "I feel good. I think it was the most intense week I had since my injury in the rehabilitation," Del Potro told local media after his practice session. "I finished it well, which is important for the intensity that comes up a little bit. I still have to climb a couple of steps. If I continue like that, I will get there," he added. The public event had been arranged to be done 2 weeks prior, but was cancelled by the 30-year-old, who says that he wasn't in good enough shape at the time. Despite his delay to the new season, Del Potro hoping that he can pick up from where he left. In 2018, the Argentine rose to a ranking high of 3rd in the world. On the tour, he won 2 ATP titles, including his first at Masters level in Indian Wells. Then at the US Open he reached the second Grand Slam final of his career and first since 2009. He lost in straight sets to Novak Djokovic. Overall, Del Potro featured in 6 finals during that year. "It is difficult to repeat a year like the previous one, but obviously I would like to. Even if I didn't play in Australia, started a bit behind those I have above me in the rankings. In recent years my career has surprised me," he said. "I'm very excited to be able to start the 2019 season. At last, I've already missed an important tournament," the Argentine added. Besides his goal of returning back to the top of the men's game once again, Del Potro is also aware of the wider impact he has. Known as the Tower of Tandil, due to his height of 6 feet 4 inches, Del Potro wants to continue inspiring the next generation of players. On social media he has 3.35 million Twitter followers and 2.027 million Facebook likes. "I try to be an example on and off the court. The youngest ones, children, imitate you when you're playing, but also in your physical form, how you dress, what you eat or who you surround yourself with," he explained. Del Potro has also given his view about the current state of the tour. At present, men's tennis is dominated by 3 of the 4 members of the Big Four. The only exception is Andy Murray, who may be forced to retire from the sport soon due to persistent hip problems. At the Australian Open, Novak Djokovic clinched the title after thrashing nemesis Rafael Nadal in the final. Looking ahead to the rest of the season, Del Potro believes it will continue to be dominated by the usual suspects, even though the next generation contingent are making progress, highlighted by Alexander Zverev's triumph at the ATP Tour Finals in November. "I think it will continue to be them, Nadal and Djokovic, who are fighting for the top places," said Del Potro. "There are a lot of good players. It's a matter of time for those to move places, but still Rafa, Djokovic, the same with Federer. When it comes to playing the big tournaments, they are a little higher. The new group, Next Gen, is going to push and move us. They have to be consistent throughout the season and in the big tournaments." The Delray Beach Open will get underway from February 18th. Del Potro is set to be the highest-ranked player in the draw. "Disfrute mucho compartir el entrenamiento con todos ustedes y la vie y poder ayudar. Gracias tandil sparkling heart-raising hands." Del Potro, at Del Potro on February 2, 2019. The Spanish veteran speaks out about what it has been like for him playing alongside Roger Federer and co. As David Ferrer approaches the end of his tennis career, the Spaniard believes part of his success in this sport has been helped by rivals such as Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. The 36-year-old is set to officially retire in May at the Madrid Open, ending a career that has spanned almost 20 years. Ferrer has been ranked as high as 3rd in the world and has won 27 titles on the ATP Tour. He is one of only 4 active players to have won over 700 matches on the tour. On the clay, he has recorded 331 victories. the second highest amount on the tour after 11-time French Open champion Nadal. Could be argued that Ferrer's achievement has been overshadowed during the era of the Big Four, a group of players that have dominated men's tennis in recent years. The group features Federer, Nadal, Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray. The closest he came to a Grand Slam title was runner-up at the French Open. If it had not been the Big Four, I would not have been number 3 in the world, because I would not have improved, Ferrer said during an interview with La Nación. I saw Roger and Rafa, then Novak and Murray came, and I always tried that the things that they did well, I could fit them, in my style, of course. And that helped me, especially with Rafa and Tony Nadal, talking a lot with them. 2013 was the year where the Spaniard peaked at his ranking high. During that season he claimed 2 trophies and finished in the year-end top 3 for the first and only time in his career. Although 2013 wasn't completely perfect for Ferrer, I went to the Masters ATP Finals in London and I did not win any matches because I ended up tired. I came from playing the final of Paris-Bercy, I got home in Valencia, I saw the ranking, I saw myself as no. 3, but that day I was very sad because I could not play well in London. He explained. That's why I say that if I could change something in my career it would be to enjoy every moment. Being a nonconformist at a certain stage of my career has left me wounded. Ferrer has a win-loss record of 17-72 against the Big Four. The only member he has never beaten is Federer, who has won all 17 of their meetings on the tour. The Swiss player is currently the second oldest player in the top 100 after Ivo Kolovic. He has something different from the others, Ferrer said of Federer. Anticipates the play, has a better eye than the opponent. And he physically moves perfectly, has worked hard, but has a natural talent and was born to play tennis. Ferrer vs Big Four. Federer 0 wins, 17 loses, Djokovic 5 wins, 16 losses, Murray 6 wins, 14 losses, Nadal 6 wins, 25 loses. The era of the Big Four is approaching its climax. Murray has also admitted that he may soon be forced to retire from the sport due to an hip injury. Meanwhile, the other 3 are in their 30s. Speaking about when the quartet will leave the sport, Ferrer admits that there will be a big hole left on the tour. It will be different because they have given glory to the sport, they have improved it in many aspects and they have given a very good example to society, he said. Ferrer will continue his farewell tour next week at the Argentina Open in Buenos Aires, a tournament he won 3 times in a row between 2012 to 2014. 5 facts about Ferrer's career. 1. He has finished 7 seasons ranked inside the top 10, 2007, 2010 to 2015. 2. Spent more than 13 years continuously ranked in the top 50, July 2, 05 to the 22nd of July 18. 3. Has played in 52 ATP finals, winning 27 of those. 4. Achieved 20 or more victories in 15 straight seasons, 2003 to 2017. 5. Played in 50 consecutive Grand Slam main draws before missing the 2015 Wimbledon Championships due to injury. Overall, he has played in the main draw of 63 Grand Slams. The 18-year-old is alleged to have deliberate faked an injury to disrupt the momentum of her opponent. Newly crowned Thailand Open champion Diana Yastrevska has been accused of poor sportsmanship during her recent match against Australia's Anya Tomljanovic. The 18-year-old has been accused by players such as Nick Kyrgios and John Millman of using a tactical timeout to disrupt the momentum of her opponent. In the final of the Thailand Open on Sunday, the Ukrainian was trailing the final set by 2-5 before calling for a medical timeout. Upon resumption, Yastrevska won 4 straight games in a row and was moving freely around the court with little difficulty. During the break to the match, Tomljanovic questioned umpire Jenny Zhang about the reason why her opponent has decided to call a trainer. "No, she didn't tell me," Zhang replied. "Every umpire is supposed to ask a player. I always get asked," Tomljanovic replied. "I cannot deny her," Zhang said. Tactical timeouts are prohibited in tennis, but it is hard for umpires to prove that a player is faking their injury. Nevertheless, Kyrgios, who is the boyfriend of Tomljanovic, described the timeout as trash. Meanwhile, former player and coach of Karolina Pliskova Renee Stubbs replied to Kyrgios' comment, "Bush League. Karma is AB. Bush League!" Exclamation mark. Karma is AB. Renee Stubbs, at Renee Stubbs. February 3, 2019. World number 36 John Millman has voiced his support for getting rid of medical breaks altogether in order to prevent incidents like this occurring. Taking to social media, the 29-year-old said the current rule is often abused by players on the tour. "I was watching the WTA event in Thailand. I've used medical timeouts a couple of times before as a necessity, but would be totally for getting rid of them completely. Too many times it's abused," Millman wrote on Twitter. Murray's solution last year, former world number 1 Andy Murray put forward 2 ideas to tackle the use of tactical timeouts. He spoke about the topic following his U.S. Open match against Fernando Verdasco, who he accused of speaking to his coach during a 10-minute break due to the heat. Under the rules, players are prohibited to do so. Murray's first proposal is for the coach of a player to be allowed on the court when the other takes a break. At present, on-court coaching is only allowed on the WTA Tour. If a player wants to go to the toilet or have a medical timeout, then his/her opponent is allowed to bring a coach onto the court for the duration of the break, limiting the advantage gained of disrupting rhythm, momentum. "The TV would love this as it would give them something to talk about during the delay," Murray wrote. The other idea is for the player who calls for a timeout to forfeit their opponent's next service game. The idea being to make the situation more fair to both sides of the court during matches. If a player wants to call a medical timeout, they forfeit opponent's next service game, so when they restart it's always on their serve. "I think players would only get the physio doctor out if it was a genuine issue in this scenario," he explained. Regardless of the controversy surrounding Jastrzębska, she has risen to 34th in the WTA rankings this week in what is her highest position yet. The teenager now has 2 WTA titles to her name after also triumphing at the Hong Kong Open last October.